Monday morning, my friends. This is MLive Chief Meteorologist Mark Torregrossa. Welcome to the MLive Morning Weather Update. Thanks for joining me this morning. And we actually have a storm system that I will be tracking with you all week. And it looks like it comes in Thursday into Thursday night or Friday, somewhere in there. And it has the track that could bring in accumulating snow right now across, let's say, the southern half of lower Michigan. Pretty far out, but I'll show you what's going on with that. So, yeah, there is a little bit of weather to talk about. Still very mild conditions for this time of the year as a whole. And I still see quite a warming trend next week at some point. 15th, 16th, 17th, into 18th and 19th. Could be 40s and 50s in the area. So, hey, good morning, Kimberly Zeismer. Good morning, Michael Predmore and Brant Goyne. Thanks for watching. Here we go on the MLive Morning Weather Update. And if you could hit the share button right now, I would appreciate it very much. All right, so we're going to start with the squiggly lines on the map right from the get-go. Sorry, no rest for the weary. Let me start with the initialization frame because I feel you can see there's less data on it, so I feel you can see what you're looking at. You got to first pick out the map, so what sticks out of my eyes is, you can kind of clearly see Texas and you could see Missouri and Illinois. Then you get your way to Michigan, so now you know where you're oriented. You're looking at the US and the southern part of Canada. Remember, the blue lines, cold air aloft, enough for snow. The red lines, warmer air aloft. And I'll tell you one thing, even though I'm talking about the possibility of snow, the one thing that has me concerned about talking about snow is that the day or two leading up to the system will be in the 40s. And so the cold air has to get here before the moisture does. That is possible on a northeast wind, but generally I like to see it down in the 30s or 32-ish the day before, and not a lot of residual warmth that has to be moved off if indeed we're going to get a snow in there. So that would be kind of one of the watch outs, and then of course the track is the other watch out. So you're going to look at the European right now, but I'm going to show you a close-up of the European versus the GFS, and they both are fairly similar in general ideas. Okay, so today we have dry weather, and tomorrow mostly dry weather. Notice the red lines aloft flirting with us, so you'll see mild temperatures. And Wednesday, notice the mild air in. And then here's the storm system. It's still off the California coast right now. Let me back up and show you. If you kind of focus on the California coast there, that storm coming across the Rockies will miss us to the south on Wednesday. And then the next storm, this is Thursday night, 7 o'clock. Thursday night. Hey, good morning, Tammy Langley from Howell and Dana Winkler from Milford. If you could hit the share button, I would appreciate it very much. Susan Wallace, Mark Ashworth, good morning to you, and TJ Brewer. So, Thursday, that's early afternoon, that's morning. So, Thursday midday to Thursday night to Friday morning early, and it's off. So it's not a slowpoke storm system that cuts the amounts a little bit. We're talking about, will the cold air get in there? But the track is one through central Ohio, the storm center. That's one that gets Detroit, Ann Arbor area, Jackson, maybe Lansing, maybe Kalamazoo, and then some fringes to the north of that. So that's Friday. It's off to the east. And then we start to look at the warming trend that has been showing up. This is Sunday the 15th, and you see more of those red lines stacked up. And then we go into the 16th. And something like that right there on January 16th, starting to work its way down in the forecast now. Instead of being 10 days out, now it's 8 days out or so. That's a pretty warm flow, and it pulls the storm system up to our west January 18th and January 19th, and there's not much cold air behind it. All right, so Now we look a little closer, okay? Now we compare, just give you a closer look at the rain snow areas and European model versus the US model. And you'll see very similar ideas, just the specifics are different. Hey, good morning, Atlanta, Michigan. Mark Bowers and Flint, Mary White. Good morning, Aaron McMorris from Curran, I guess you would say. Good morning, Mark. Time to fertilize for fertilizer and grass seed? Not just yet, Michael. We will have winter. But as every day ticks away, of course, we know the true hard part of winter will be shorter lessened. So this is Wednesday, and this is the European model. Remember, this is Thursday afternoon, starting as rain. This would be Thursday night. And that's a pretty good call that, after sunset in storms like this, we cool down 5 degrees and then it changes over to snow. So that's Thursday night, Friday morning, Friday early afternoon. So it's a 12-hour snow. And in that track, it's a good track for Kalamazoo, Lansing, Jackson. It could stay warm right somewhere through the Detroit and Ann Arbor area. We'll just have to see. Now, let's look at the US model and see if it's vastly different. So here's Thursday afternoon, Thursday evening. It's a little faster, which we know is one of its pitfalls. Mimi Noonan, that is a good possibility that winter arrives in April. It seems to be the trend. Middle of winter milder and late winter colder. So the US model is north about 100 miles. So it shifts the rain snow line from the Detroit area through the Detroit area to all the way to the north, to the Grand Rapids to Houghton Lake area. So my point being is we can't tell you exactly just yet. And what I will say to you is that I don't want to show you a snowfall total map just yet, because then you'll roast me 4 days out when it's 1 inch off. But what I would say is situational forecasting. I've been doing this for 32 years. This kind of storm moving along at a pretty good clip, fighting a little bit of too warm of air. It's a 3 to 6 inch snow where the heaviest swath sets up. We don't know if that's southern Michigan, central Michigan, northern Michigan just yet. What can I predict as a human being on the trend of this? I would say there's not a lot of cold air pushing in from the northwest. So oftentimes at this time of the year, we see the storms drift south and southeast and then miss us. This one probably has more of a tendency to drift north and northwest and shift that rain snow line farther north in lower Michigan. So that's what I would say on this one. Yeah, let's take a look at the last thing, temperatures. Mild, you might call it warm, about 40 degrees in a lot of places today, southern half of the state. Again, tomorrow, about 40, some spots in the low 40s, like Grand Rapids, maybe parts of the Detroit area, only 37-ish, but we should be having a high of about 31-ish now. And then Wednesday, low 40s. Thursday, upper 30s. So, you got to get some cold air, but it would depend on the timing. If it came in early and it was in the middle of the day on Thursday, probably lean toward rain in a lot of places. If it comes after sunset, probably lean toward snow. And then Friday's a little colder, behind the storm system, high temperature of about 30, 32, and Saturday in the low 30s, and Sunday in the low 30s. That might be a little bit too cold. And then the sustained warm up that I've been seeing for a week now, starting around January 15th and probably lasting at least 3 or 4 days and being probably fairly abnormal. So this would be Monday the 16th. This would be Tuesday in the 40s to near 50, and this would be Wednesday the 18th. So if there's something where you say, I want to do something outside, project you didn't finish up, and you still wanted a couple 40-degree days, next week, I think would be your option. There you have it. That's the MLive morning weather update. And Let's see, Jojo, what day do the average temperatures tend to start moving upwards? Hey, that's a great question, Jojo. It's now the last few days of January. And when I started this way back when, 30 years ago, and even 15 and 20 years ago, I used to always point out February 5th, 4th or 5th was the day when the average high went from its lowest and ticked up 1 degree. Now I look at the new climatological data, and what they do is they take a 30-year window, but every 10 years they're chopping off the old 10 years. So the climatological data is actually warming too. So when we're comparing this temperature to normal, we're not comparing to normal that it was in the 50s, 60s, 70s, or 40s, or 30s. We're comparing it to an already warmed up normal. But to answer your question, late January, first few days of February is when it starts to tick up. That means the sun angle is up, and it just on average over 30 years has had a little bit more power. Connie Castle says, sure not the winters we used to have. No, they aren't. And the globe is warmer. And what it comes down to is we get breaks in the winter. We still get harsh, near record or record cold, but it probably lasts shorter than it would have in the 80s or 70s or something like that. Hey, there's your weather update. Thanks for joining me on the MLive Morning Weather Update. I'm Chief Meteorologist Mark Torregrossa.